What is up, YouTube? In this video, I want to talk about why it's better to buy your own multifamily property and live in one of the units instead of renting an apartment. I'm going to go over why I'm going to potentially make an extra $2 million from my most recent deal. Now sit back and enjoy. It seems that all these other videos on YouTube want you to believe that buying is not as good as renting. They seem to draw the conclusion that if you rent and invest your down payment into the stock market, you end up making more money in the long run. But none of these examples seem to factor in one very important scenario. They don't factor in multifamily housing. Now, I'm not talking about the 5+ unit housing because that just gets complicated with commercial loans and you need to put a much larger down payment. I'm talking about the 2 to 4 family real estate market. Now, I want to walk you through one of the deals that I've done recently just to show you the numbers and the difference it would be if I rented versus buying. Now, I want to keep this video relatively short, so I don't want to bore you with saying numbers like 11,157. So I'm going to round all the numbers and just give you guys a rough idea. And I'm also going to throw the numbers up here on the side so you can follow along. Now, for my last deal, I bought a 3-unit multifamily house for approximately 1.1 million. So I'm just going to round it to 1.1. Now, it's a 3-unit apartment. I live in one of the units and I rent out 2 units. Now the price was 1.1 million, so with closing costs, approximately 5% in my area, it's going to come out to be about $1.155 million. Now, I put a 20% down payment, so I have a $880,000 loan. Now let's go over all the costs of home ownership. So when you buy a house with a mortgage, you need to pay mortgage, obviously. So you have a principal part and an interest part of that mortgage. Then you have to pay property tax, you have to pay insurance, you have to pay utilities. So I'm only going to count the utilities for the common area, such as lights for the hallway. Because if you were to rent an apartment, you would still have to pay electric. You also have to pay water, which is the water coming in from the municipality, as well as sewage. You also have to set aside some money for maintenance. So when you own your own home, you don't have a super or a management company to help you make the repairs. So you can't just go to the landlord. You are the landlord. So you have to make all these repairs. So I set about $400 a month aside just so I can cover everything. Now, you're not going to use $400 every single month, but you want to set aside some extra money just in case your boiler goes out and costs a couple $1,000s, or you need to replace a roof, which can go up to $15,000. So you want to have money set aside because these things will happen. So I'm going to throw all the numbers up here. The loan payment for this property comes up to about $50,400 a year. The property tax is approximately $12,000 a year. The insurance is approximately $2,000. The electric bill is approximately $500. Water bill is approximately $3,000, and the maintenance is approximately $4,800 a year. I live on the 2nd floor and I rent out the 1st and the 3rd floor. So the 1st floor I rent out for $2,250 a month, and it's a 2-bedroom, 1-bath apartment. The tenant takes care of their own utilities. The 3rd floor is a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, and it's rented for $2,600 a month, and the tenant also takes care of their own utilities. So the income for this property is $58,200, and I live in one of the units. Now you might be thinking, oh, you have rental income, so you must pay a lot in taxes, right? Well, that's not the case, because that's the beauty of real estate. You get to write off a lot of your taxes. So in my scenario, with depreciation and the write-off for loan interest payments, I end up paying zero in taxes. So with those numbers, I end up paying out of pocket about $14,500 a year. So approximately a monthly payment of $1,200. Now let's talk about if I were to rent this same exact apartment that I live in. So the second floor is also a 3-bedroom, 2-bath apartment. So you'll probably end up paying the same amount as the third floor, which is $2,600 a month. So that comes out to $31,200 a year. Now, if I had invested the down payment as well as the closing costs, I would be putting $275,000 into the stock market. So assuming a 7% gain in the stock market, you'll be making about $19,250 a year. And if you use that money to put towards your rental payment, you'll be coming out of pocket about $11,950. Now, that out-of-pocket cost is slightly lower than the multifamily example, but you also have to think about it this way. Rent never goes down. You pretty much, every single year, there's a slight bump. And when you get a slight bump, your multifamily example, you make money. Now, renting example, you lose money. Now, immediately, you might be slightly better off renting for the first year. Now let's roll this example 30 years forward because I took out a 30-year loan to help pay for this house. Historically speaking, the real estate market has appreciated on a whole 3% every single year. With a 3% appreciation every year, this property will be worth $2.67 million after 30 years. While the stock example, since you're pulling out all of your money to help pay for the rent, all your gains, it doesn't get compounded. You'll still end up having $275,000 after the 30 years. So in my example, it's much, much better to buy a multifamily property. With multifamily real estate, you do need to do a lot more work than if you were to just throw your money into an index fund and wait for it to grow. But $2.5 million difference, I'd do it any day. You probably have to deal with tenant issues, maintenance issues, contractor issues, the city coming after you for trash or something in front of your yard. You also have to deal with knowing how to file your taxes properly. You also have to deal with setting up a tax strategy, so if you do end up selling in the future, you can minimize the amount of taxes that you have to pay. But there's this great thing called a 1031 exchange that you can defer your taxes and you don't have to pay it now, and you can just keep doing it and end up not having to pay taxes ever. I'm going to go into more details about all these things in future videos that I make. So if you like this content, please like this video, subscribe, and if you have any questions, please comment down below. All right, thank you so much.